Welcome to Chick Days at Stockdale. Today we have with us John Houston, Director of Business Services for ProTrition Feeds. John, we have a few questions for you. Can you start by telling us your background in chick care?
Well, I started with chickens when I was in the 4th grade, like most people in the state of Tennessee, with the 4-H chick chain, and I've been involved with chickens ever since, really. We started out with those 4-H chickens and moved into show chickens, and then when my kids came along, they had 4-H chickens, and when they left to go to college, they left mom and dad with 150 4-H chickens. So been involved with the poultry projects for a long time.
Yes, sir. I totally understand that. We grew up with chick chain chicks as well. So when someone makes a decision that they should, invest in chickens, what's some things that they should have prepared before they get those chickens?
Well, that's an outstanding question. Let me tell you, first thing is remember that these are living, breathing creatures and that require a lot of care. So we really need to understand that first. And if we're not willing to provide that care, we might want to go another route with some other project. But because they're living, breathing creatures, they'll require some things to be ready when you get those chicks home. And so first of all, we want to have a good, clean, dry place to keep these chicks with good bedding, shavings in particular, have some heat available with heat lamps. Nothing fancy, but just a way to do that. Have some waterers and some feeders there ready, and then be ready to watch your chicks as you put them in what we call the brooder that you've built, and you put them in there and watch those chicks to see how they react to the heat and how they react to eating and drinking and that type of thing. But just have those things ready before you bring them home.
Sure. So once we get the chicks home, they're in their heated brooder area, they have feed, they have clean water. What's some signs that we should watch for, or things that we should watch for with those new chicks?
Well, obviously with this time of the year and in Tennessee, the weather can be 80 degrees one day and 20 degrees the next day. So it's very important to watch how your chicks react to the heat, because they'll tell you if they need more heat or less heat so if the chicks are bunching up, they're too cold. If they're spread out, they're too warm. So, watch those and adjust the height of your heat lamps, and that will adjust the temperature. We want that temperature, up there around 95 degrees at chick level when you get them home. And then after a couple of weeks, we'll start reducing that to about that 75 degree range. So, but chicks will, when they're cold, they'll bunch up and smother each other, and you'll lose some chicks. So we want to be sure and watch that. We want to keep our bedding dry and make sure that we are providing a clean and dry means a lot with animals, whether it's chicks or any other species. So.
Yes, sir. Sure. So I guess one of the most important questions is, what should I feed these new chicks that I'm bringing home?
Absolutely. Well, that's a great question, because especially if you're a first timer, what we really want to do is have a chick starter that's a quality chick starter. And most people get hung up on, okay, so I got 18% protein, I got a 20% protein feed. It's all about protein. Well, while protein's important, that's not the only factor to consider in your chick starters. So let's think about that just a little bit, and let's think about, we want a chick starter because we're going to have it available all the time for the chicks. And so let's think about, we want a chick starter that's around that 19-20% crude protein level. But realize that the way chickens are made, the way God made chickens, is that they can really utilize amino acid supplementation, and realize that protein is nothing more than building amino acids. Amino acids are the building blocks to protein. So if you have a chick starter that's really well fortified with amino acids, you can have a lesser crude protein and be getting more protein into the animal absorbed. So co-op chick starters do have those amino acid balances, and so we're really proud of that. And so that 19-20% crude protein would be great, and leave it before them all the time. I would caution you, as we talk about feeding, I would caution folks, watch those chicks, because while it sounds funny, chicks do have an issue with what is called, of all things, pasty butt. So that's the term. I'm sorry, but that's the term. And so if that happens, then just a damp cloth, a damp paper towel, and wipe that off of that vent area. So otherwise, those chicks can die. So just make sure that you're watching for that. Be sure, whatever we do, in feeding, more importantly, or as importantly, that we have lots of water, and that water tank, water stays full, and that we're making sure that it's clean, and that as the chicks scratch around and put things in that water bowl that don't need to be there, keep it cleaned out, keep it fresh.
Sure. So. Those are awesome, really great points, John, and we thank you for giving us that information. Visit your local Stockdale's location to pick up your chicks and all the necessary items for the first few weeks of chick care.